Hi, I'm Carson Zadroga.
And I'm Hunter Panel.
And today at Press Play's episode today, we're going to have some great segments.
Oh, I'm sure we do. Carson, let me ask you a question. Do you like bombs?
I love bombs.
Well, then our viewers and you will love this first segment, the Meg Sweeper segment.
Yeah.
So, since my press start days, rest in peace, all we have really talked about are the modern and new games coming out. We haven't even touched the surface when it comes to the true games of our generation. I'm not talking Minecraft, Doodle Jump, Slenderman, none of that. I'm talking Minesweeper. If you don't remember Minesweeper, I feel sorry for you. Microsoft's Minesweeper came out in the 1990s as part of the Windows Entertainment Pack. Entertainment is both an overstatement and an understatement. I remember getting absolutely furious at this thing, the same amount of times I was infatuated. This game has been criticized from the ground and then some, because of the concept of a bomb blowing the player up. The game, when you lose, ends with your selected tile being a landmine, while also showing you where the rest of the explosives were. In 2001, the international campaign to ban Windmine said that this game was too violent. To quote, Minesweeper is an offense to the victim of mines. However, a lot has happened since 2001. This game was so different that masses thought this game was too simple and made different variants of it. They ranged from being from different shaped boards, like a circle or a smiley face, to being 3D and multiple landmines under one tile. I can't even comprehend how you would play that. Heck, while I was writing this, I got a YouTube notification for a video about playing 4D Minesweeper. Virtual Reality Minesweeper. Now, I don't know about you, but Minesweeper, the original, was such a weird game to me as a child. I didn't get it, and because of that, I learned how to play Minesweeper out of spite. 12-year-old me existed despite a video game that came out on our edition of Microsoft Windows. Anywho, because I was 12 years old and lacked rational thinking skills, I played this game until I understood. I didn't ask anyone or look up how to play the game, because who does that? The Minesweeper came with no instructions. The game started by asking you what difficulty you wanted to play, and popped you right into a game. I didn't even know that you had to right-click to flag a landmine until like middle school. It was like Minesweeper was actively withholding information from me, and I was the chosen one, destined to interrogate the game for years until it gave me the answers that I wanted. I don't have all the answers to my Minesweeper quest, but I have fond memories of playing this game in graphic design class my senior year before COVID-19 hit. Out of all my friends in that class, I was the only one who understood the game, and it was very fun seeing them try to crack the unforgiving code that is Minesweeper. Playing this stupid, old but addicting game with my friends was serotonin. I have played this game for what feels like my entire life. I used to play this everywhere and anywhere I could when I wanted to waste time. I remember playing it on my school-administered laptop after standardized testing, art projects, and just to flex that I played Minesweeper. Looking back at it, I don't think Minesweeper is that much of a flex. Speaking of flexes, did you know that the world record for completing a Minesweeper game is 38 seconds? After a quick Google search, I found out that people play this game competitively. It operates like how speedrunning websites do, where people just enter their times and get them validated. It's crazy to me that people can complete this game in such a short amount of time. Is there a strategy? How does a Minesweeper strategy work? All my life I've just kind of guessed. I click one tile, immediately blow up, and stare at my screen questioning what has led up to me picking the wrong choice out of 81. Is there a strategy to prevent that? What codes haven't I unlocked yet? Am I not goated with the Minesweeper sauce? Real talk though, this stupid little Microsoft game has been with me since I found it. I didn't know I was embarking on a lifelong journey to understand it, but here we are. I wouldn't call it a conversation starter, but a conversation continuer. On Discord, for instance, in between finding YouTube videos to watch on call with all my friends, I'd always be the one that streamed Minesweeper to them while I waited. But not the original Minesweeper, the one that pops out when you Google it, like the colorful one with the explosive tiles that don't go boom, they go pew and shoot confetti. Totally less violent. In my brain, permanently on loop, are the memories I made with my friends over this game. My friends and I all sat in the back corner of our 11th grade World Cultures class and competed to see who could complete it the fastest. My Minesweeper quest isn't about becoming the best of the game, though. Now that I've written this, and now sitting here and reading it to you, I realize that it's about the friends I've made along the way. This game, along with all the other games of its kind, have become a phenomenon because of the audience reaction. When someone says, "Hey, I'm gonna play Minesweeper," you go, "That game?" And you're immediately intrigued. All the history has led up to people like me playing it for shits and giggles. It's fun. People play Minesweeper because of the memories it has created. To wrap my old school Microsoft ramble up, this simple little pixel art type beat game just works. It's nostalgia. Minesweeper kept me entertained and still does, which is crazy since most of us get bored of a game after we fail at it a few times. But that's almost the point of Minesweeper, to fail. Blowing up repeatedly makes you want to keep playing it. And I think that's why it will always be in the back of my mind. I'm Meg, and thank you for listening.
Wow, Hunter, that was a very explosive segment, don't you think?
So the blast force really sent me knocking back into my chair there myself.
That rhythm of explosion she just gave off is making me craving a musical right now.
Oh, I say that. I go for a musical right now myself. And you know who else go for a musical right now?
Who?
Our viewers in the JJ segment.
Talking about High School Musical, the series.
One thing we can all agree on is that reboots are never better than the original. Take Ghostbusters, or any of the new live-action Disney movies, for example. They come in with fresh takes and a brand new cast, but fall flat on the magic that made their predecessors amazing. Well, what if I told you that there is one reboot that is not only great, but may just be better than its source's material? You wouldn't believe me, I know, and I get that. But hopefully throughout these next couple minutes, I'll at least get you to be mildly interested in High School Musical, the series. Yep, you heard me right. High School Musical, the series, which from now on I will be referring to as HSMT-MTS. It's still a mouthful, but I think that's kind of the point. The guys at Disney aren't dumb. They know a long title will just make the show that much more of a nuisance to your subconscious. Most shows have shorter titles or acronyms like Law & Order SVU, but Disney wants HSMT-MTS to stick in your head. There is no other way to refer to it as, and I admire Disney's ability to annoy their audiences. But enough about the name of the show. You're no doubt saying to yourself, yeah, there's no way I'm watching this show. It's not even a true reboot, as it doesn't take place in the world of High School Musical. But I think that's a perfect reason to watch it anyway. If you grew up watching DCOMs like I did, High School Musical definitely holds a special place in your heart. And HSMT-MTS doesn't try to one-up the original trilogy, nor is it claiming to. It's a fresh, sometimes even meta take on the series. If you know anything about me, you know my favorite show is Game of Thrones. Alongside that are shows like Silicon Valley and Community. But something you might not know is that I am a sucker for musicals. Just as I'm getting bored with the story, out comes the first few notes of a piano and I am sitting up in my chair ready for the show. And I feel that musicals provide a personal look at the characters in a movie or show. We feel their emotions coming through the lyrics of the song, and every note amplifies their heartbreak or anger tenfold. Let's take a trip down memory lane to the fall of 2019, right before the time skip that happened in the following March. A brand new streaming service enters the fray to battle the likes of Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime. The shows that I grew up watching, like Sweet Life on Deck and Wizards of Waverly Place, were finally available to me after leaving Disney Channel nearly half a decade earlier. Alongside those familiar faces were two new shows that came straight out of Disney+. One of those shows became the biggest thing since Game of Thrones, and it gave hope to lightsaber-wielding nerds everywhere. The others seemed like just another reboot, if an interesting one, carrying the same moniker as the most popular DCOM of all time. So as I finished the first episode of The Mandalorian and agonized over having to wait an entire week, I came out to the homepage and saw High School Musical, the series, and I thought, sure, why not? And I was forever changed. I love HSMT-MTS. To say it is a guilty pleasure of mine would not be correct, for I do not feel guilty at all. This show had me hooked from the first episode, and trust me, I wanted to hate this show. The obvious imitation of The Office with the talking heads and the corny jokes were definitely a miss for the show, but I just could not for the life of me stop watching this show. The characters were endearing, the music was catchy, and it had Olivia Rodrigo in it. I'm only a man, so I will not apologize for that. To put the show into words you might understand, take the show Glee as an example. HSM-TMTS actually takes a lot from this show, so I think it's fitting to make a comparison as I enjoy both of them. Glee has an ensemble cast that makes you care about each and every one of them, both through the power of music and through the power of drama. But unlike Glee, HSM-TMTS is wholesome. It isn't a Hallmark movie, but it is a nice show that anyone can watch, unlike the problematic and oftentimes offensive Glee. HSM-TMTS follows a group of theater kids as they put on a show and learn things about themselves and each other along the way. There is romance, humor, and of course, lots and lots of singing. Oftentimes, I would be belting out the soundtrack in my car as I drove to school because I just could not get them out of my head. First season has Ricky, a skater outcast that has never stepped foot on a stage, try to get back Nene, a shy girl that just found her voice. But you also see EJ, Nene's new boyfriend, as well as Gina, the new girl in town. They must put on High School Musical in the very school the original movie was shot. This show has so much heart that I found myself tearing up multiple times this season, and I've cheered for my favorite characters to get over their fears or ask out their crush. Not to mention the amount of chills that spread over my back throughout each episode. It's more than just a show about theater kids. It's a show about family. I've never wanted to be in a group hug so badly until I watched this show. And I have continued to watch this show over the years. Season 2 was about Beauty and the Beast and a rival school, while Season 3 follows the cast making Frozen while at summer camp. I wrote this script literally minutes after finishing the 3rd season, which is why you are watching this instead of Press Play News. Because the news can wait, this cannot. Those of you that know me, you know that I watch nearly everything at 2 times speed. Well, HSM-TMTS is not one of those shows. I will gladly spend hours of my time curled up in a blanket, shoveling popcorn into my face, and singing along to the High School Musical discography. So if I haven't made you want to watch this show already, that's okay. If there's anything this show has taught me, it's that you can't please everybody. It's also taught me to be brave and speak up for what I believe in. And I believe the High School Musical, the series, is a fantastic show. I'm JJ, and you're watching Press Play. Bum, 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 bum.
Man, I don't know about you, Carson, but after that, I could really use something to cleanse my palate.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I could use a good old, debate or something like that.
A debate sounds familiar. Do we have something on the debate schedule today?
Perhaps it might be on channel TF2.
Oh, versus Overwatch?
Huh?
You know what that means? Time for our next segment, Team Fortress 2 versus Overwatch.
Welcome back, Press Play. Today we're having a debate between TF2 and Overwatch 2. I'll let the TF2 boys introduce themselves first.
Hi, I'm Justin. I've been playing Team Fortress 2 since December of 2015.
Hi, I'm Hunter. I've played TF2 around about 8 hours because my friend made me download it.
And now bringing it over to the Overwatch 2 boys.
Hello, I am Overwatch Boy 1, Donovan, and I've been playing Overwatch since release day.
Hi, I'm Overwatch Boy 2, Billy, and I haven't been playing since release day, but I've been playing for a pretty long time, since early 2016.
All right, and with that being said, opening statements, we're going to start with the TF2 boys and begin.
Okay, so I have about 2 minutes, so I'm gonna make this brief. Overwatch is a game that is just sort of falling apart at the seams way faster than I think anyone ever expected it to. Your player base is fractured. The company that made the game is practically a walking HR violation. And I'm gonna be honest, as much as TF2 has its flaws, I feel like in some ways it's in a far more playable state than Overwatch has been for a very long time. Team Fortress 2 is a very old game, but it's a game that stood the test of time. I think compared to most of its contemporaries, it's really shown that it shines above the competition and that it will, not only has it lasted this long, but it will last a lot longer. As much as it can have, issues with getting updated and the like, its player base is still so committed to it and so, consistently enthusiastic. I've never found a game that's had a more enjoyable player base to interact with. And the gameplay itself is just so perfect to hook in new people. I mean, my partner here, he's only played it because his friends have introduced him to it. The game spreads by word of mouth so often now because it's just still good. It doesn't need a marketing team or ads or fancy CG or anything else. It's just a good game, and it's a type of game that you don't see made as often nowadays.
1 minute remaining. Hunter, do you want to say anything?
I don't think I have anything to add. My partner here, he summed it up all pretty well. The only thing I will say is that back when it did come out, it had a great marketing campaign. Even if Overwatch had it had a pretty good marketing campaign too, but I feel like it never did reach the heights that TF2 did with its marketing campaign.
All right, let's throw it over to what the Overwatch boys have to say about that.
So Overwatch, I'm gonna be honest, I think it has its flaws. I'm gonna be honest about that. Now, TF2 though, I think it has far more flaws with how it is. I think generally the gameplay loop doesn't hook me at all. I played TF2 for full disclosure, I played both games. I think the gameplay loop of TF2 is much more mindless, and I much more enjoy the team gameplay aspect of Overwatch that it has. And now we'll get to Overwatch 2 in a little bit, but I think Overwatch 1 was a shining example of how a good hero shooter should work in like a team v team type of situation. I think TF2 just has too many characters for an individual player to feel like they're making a difference. And also I feel like generally it's just that the gameplay loop isn't that fun and you don't feel like you're being rewarded that much for what you're doing.
I guess something to add to that is that I'll bring up Overwatch 1 for a second. Full disclosure too, I played both games. Obviously I played Overwatch more than I played TF2, but I played TF2 for a good bit. When it comes up, I want to bring up the thing Billy was talking about the characters and stuff like that. I think what kind of hooks people into Overwatch is the big cast of characters into it, because a lot of them, because TF2 also does this right. They have, all characters have their own personality. All of them are so different from each other. It's a great experience with both characters. But with Overwatch, I feel like there's more options to go around with it. That if obviously if people don't like one character, there's always another character they can fall back on. So I feel like there's a little bit more of variety in the gameplay, and also different types of, and more variety in modes compared to TF2 and stuff like that. And I feel like the marketing for it was also pretty good, especially whenever new characters kept being released on it. It kept expanding more and more into the story, and people were getting more and more actively excited about it. And we'll talk a little bit more about Overwatch 2 and later down the line.
You cut me off before I can cut you off. We're gonna open up the floor for a few minutes, and you guys can just go at it. It's civil.
Do you guys want to go first since we just ended our segment?
Sure. I feel like Overwatch is a game. It's a casual game that's been forced into the shape of a competitive game.
How so?
The 6v6 and now 5v5, player numbers, I can see why people would like it and why some people might enjoy it, but it puts too much pressure on the individual player to perform at their max capacity. If you die, you feel like you're failing your whole team. If you've got 12v12, not only does that open up room for more players to enter a match, which I know Overwatch 2 has had some problems with in the past, it also just works better for getting everyone involved in a way that you don't need to worry about contributing at max capacity. You've always got people who have your back. And what is a team but people who can pick you up when you've fallen down?
That's an interesting statement, because he said that it doesn't feel like a game it feels like a casual game that's been molded into a competitive game. You say how the game almost encourages you to play at your max capacity, which I feel like more is geared towards the competitive side of the community. Now, I think it's a valid statement to say that Overwatch is generally more competitive. I mean, like, solo queue's a mess because it's just like, it's a lot harder to individually work together with a team and find a team that works well for you. But I think that's a valid niche that it should occupy. Now, I think TF2 has its own niche. I think it's a good casual game in that respect, but I don't know about competitively.
I have over 1,300 hours in Team Fortress 2, and most of those hours have been spent solo queuing. That's one thing that I think really shows how much TF2 shines, is that, you know, the community and the way the game is geared is such that you don't need to be with a group of friends. The game is better with friends, but you don't need to be with a group of friends to truly enjoy it. Also, I feel like in some ways, Overwatch is terrified of of having something that isn't competitively viable. When's the last time Overwatch got like proper new maps? Like, Team Fortress 2 gets new maps with almost every seasonal update.
You mean not counting Overwatch 2, correct?
Not entirely, not really counting Overwatch 2. I mean, Overwatch 2 is of course going to have new content just because it is a new game. They're going to include some new stuff to draw more people in, but honestly, like, Overwatch wasn't getting new maps by the end of its life cycle, and I think that isn't just because they were dedicating things to Overwatch 2. It's also just, why would you make a map that isn't competitively viable, that doesn't work out, and all this kind of stuff, whereas Team Fortress 2 isn't scared to be experimental and weird.
I mean, okay, so they had a lot more maps that weren't competitively engineered. There were a lot of ones that were for casual, more simple game modes like 3v3s and stuff like that. They had a bunch of different maps that they were making and putting in.
I will say, with every single new mode that they introduced into it, they introduced not only could you play them with the regular maps on it, but they also introduced a bunch of brand new maps on it. And I could also make the argument that a majority, because I've played over like 500 hours of Overwatch, and I can make the argument of a majority of those maps aren't really competitively viable. More of them are like more for like just the competitive crowd with it, with how many, because there's a lot of just like straight line, like, you kind of just like go from point A to point B. There's not really a lot of ways, like there's ways to flank obviously, but not like really for like a competitive like standpoint about it. And also I kind of want to go back to like your thing, the whole argument we had about like Overwatch not being like more for competitive, and then TF2 more for like casual. I believe that on that, but like one thing that kind of stuck out to me is like if you're not playing on top level. I mean, to be fair, both games are like for the newbie, honestly. Like both games are like very player friendly onto it. But like, I believe that like, since like it's Overwatch 2, I should bring up Overwatch 2 into this, or like Overwatch, a lot of people have been playing the game for multiple hours, and so has TF2. Like, I'll bring this up because I played TF2 very late into his thing, but every single time I played as a newbie, I felt like I was getting very overwhelmed with the new going against like other people on it, because there was like so many people that were just like that were like 10 times better, like doing this stuff. But I feel like the argument there could be like, for both games could be like, well, obviously like the whole thing is that like if you play against something better than you, you're just gonna have
I'm gonna
a better
stop you
chance.
there. That was 5 minutes of you guys just going at it with each other. I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds each to say any closing arguments that like really matter, and then I'm gonna open up the floor again. You guys can argue for another 3 minutes.
There's just so many different issues that are all plaguing Overwatch from different angles, and I think, you know, in some ways it's just kind of hard to address all of them. You know, not only is the gameplay an issue, but also the game's design has gotten more and more predatory as time goes on.
Overwatch, what do you have to say?
All right, I want to say something that is one of my biggest concerns when I'm picking between each game. I think Overwatch just has so much of a better style and aesthetic like look to it, and as well as a better feel. I think it actually just feels better. It's more of like a movement shooter and less of an old clunky shooter.
With those arguments being said, I am going to open up the floor again for another 2 to 3 minutes so you guys can argue on this. And this time we're going to start with the Overwatch boys. So,
Go ahead.
I strongly disagree with both of the things Billy said there. Not only do I feel as though Team Fortress 2 has an incredibly strong visual style that has helped it outlive its contemporaries. I mean, think of other games that came out in 2007. How many of them hold up visually? Team Fortress 2 still looks good.
Are we talking about first-person shooters, or are we just talking about games in general? 'Cause
I mean, partially first-person shooters.
I'm about to say, you should probably say that before, like, because I probably could name a couple games that
Yeah.
we'll get today.
I think it's valid to say that it's the building block of other games, and I respect it for that. And I think it's a huge like accomplishment in video games in general, like outside of this argument. However, I think just because it's the building block of it doesn't mean that it's like generally just better. I think I pay my respects to it, but I don't enjoy it for that reason.
I'm about to say, Overwatch still has a player base. It still has a very vocal player base onto it. And like, it's gotten a little worse over the years, I can say. But I feel like it's getting better and better on into it. Like, not as many like talking people and stuff like that. I feel like it's getting a lot bit of a more like better player base, and I think people are, and because like Blizzard is actually trying to make an effort to like reach out to everybody, being like.
all right, that's all the time we have for tonight with our cute little TF2 Overwatch 2 debate, if you can call it cute. I've been Meg. I've been your moderator throughout this entire adventure. We're gonna have everyone, like, I guess, do an outro, if they so choose, obviously. We're gonna start with TF2.
So sort of a closing argument?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I think in conclusion, Team Fortress 2 is a game that doesn't need to sell you the idea that it'll last a long time. It just needs to show you that it has. It's been in the top 10 of Steam's most played games. It's been in the top 10 of Steam's most played games for basically its entire life. I mean, if you're really looking for a good free game, I don't see a better place to look.
Now to the Overwatch boys.
I think Overwatch, in conclusion, I feel like Overwatch has, honestly, it's been getting better and better through the years onto it. It's a little rough transferring through Overwatch 1 and 2, but the game is still there. I think the spirit is still there for it, and it's just gonna get better and better as time goes by with everything that's gonna happen. Well, time will tell, but I believe that it's looking good so far. I think the company's making the right steps to making a very tremendous sequel.
All right, you've heard their arguments. Who do you side with? Scream it at your screen right now. We can hear you, I promise.
I can hear you.
That's a great answer. Thank you for watching First Play tonight. Depending on when this segment is placed in the episode, I'm sure we might have some more content coming up, we might not. I don't know. It's a gamble. See you next time.
Who's there? You decide!
Wow, that was really quite a debate. You especially, you talked a lot there.
Oh, I used my whole vocal cords there. It's probably almost time to skedaddle, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, everyone's so tired after speaking so much. I think everyone should get a nice, go home and get a nice sleep for the weekend.
I agree. It's been a great week, but I think it's almost time to wrap it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm Carson Zadroga.
And I've been Hunter Panel.
And, that's Press Play for you. So have a great day, guys.
That was good. I just spun around in my chair and now I don't feel so good.